Hey everybody, Mr. Richards here. I'm going to show you how to organize your Google Drive. Now, if you don't know, Google Drive is the online cloud location where all of your Google documents are stored. And it doesn't just have to hold Google Docs or Google Slides or Google Sheets. It can hold any file that you want to upload and put into your Google Drive storage account. Now, this storage account does not exist on your iPad. It exists on a server, and you access it using your iPad when it's connected to the internet. Now, you can download some files and work on them on your iPad if you don't have internet access, but most of the time, the Google Drive is where you store all of your information. Now, there's a couple of other apps like Google Sheets or Google Docs or Google Slides, and those apps are really for creating and editing those types of files. They're really not good at organizing those types of files. And so it's a really good idea to make sure you have a Google Drive app and your Google Drive is organized. So I'll show you how to do that. So first, download the Google Drive app if you don't already have it. When you click on it, it might ask you to make sure you're logged in with the correct account. I'm going to give you a word of warning here. This is a school-issued iPad. It belongs to the school district, and your teachers are going to be sharing documents and things with you based on your St. Paul K-12 MNUS user account. If you have a personal account signed in on Google Drive, it's going to make it so that you can't open documents sometimes, like if it says like you don't have editing rights or whatever. That's because you have a personal account signed in. My advice would be don't use the school iPad for personal documents. Only use it for school documents. Use your phone or whatever else for your other Google stuff. All right. Anyway, so in my home folder, this is the most root folder that I can get to. Well, it's not, but it is. The folders that it says at the top here, it says My Drive on the top left and Shared Devices on the top right. So My Drive is the furthest up I can go in the folder hierarchy. Think of a folder hierarchy like bullet points. You know, when you indent and move over, it's like adding another subdirectory. If you don't know what folder directories are, you should learn what they mean. Anyway, so in here I've got a whole bunch of folders that are organized and a whole bunch of garbage that is not. I've taken a look at a lot of student Google Drives, and it's mostly, just random files and stuff. And so it's a good idea to learn how to organize this. So the first thing that I would do for students is I would make a folder for each school year that you have. You notice that my top folder here is the 2021-22 school year. Now, you can sort these documents however you want, but if you sort them by name, the first thing that's going to come up is any file that starts with a number, and then it'll go in alphabetical order. So if I start the school year with a number, and you could do 8th grade too, as long as you start with an 8 instead of the letter or the word 8, it would appear at the top of your list here. For some of you, when you log in, it might show the priority files down here, which is not super helpful most of the time. You can look at workspaces and shared and stuff too, but I'm on the files thing on the bottom here, and I put it in a list view because that's most helpful to me. I don't need that. The list view shows the entire file name as long as it's not super long, or the entire folder name. Anyway, so I make a folder, I call it 2021-2022 school year. If you want to make a new folder, make sure you're in the place that you want the folder to exist. Click the plus button on the bottom right, and then click the folder button, and it will make a new folder. Once you get your folder made, you can change the color by clicking the 3 little dots and click Change Color. Now, inside of your school year folder, you should make another folder for each class that you have. So far we have our home Google Drive, a folder for our school year. Inside of that folder, we have a folder for each class. Now, this is what mine looks like because I'm a teacher. If I was a student, I'd have a folder for each class that I'm in. All right. Now, since this is a robotics class, we're going to make a folder for robotics. I've got it written as 8th grade robotics, but if I were you, I might title it robotics, and then I would put the year. You might wonder why I'm putting the year after everything. You notice I have it for the 6th grade physical science here and stuff like that. The reason I do that is because for me, sometimes I might not put something in the right spot, or I want to find it quickly, or I have multiples of a document, like I have the same sort of document every year. Like an example would be, class schedule. You might have a document that's called class schedule and it's titled the same thing every year, and the only difference is the year at the end of that schedule. So it'd be class schedule 2021, 22 or whatever. Then when you click the search button at the top, you can just type 21-22 and it'll show up with all of the documents and folders that have that on it. So it makes it a little bit easier to find if you want to do it that way. Okay, so in my robotics 21-22 folder, there's one folder that we need to add for sure. Now you might want to add some other folders in here as you need them, but we need to make one called code. And the reason we need to make this code folder is because the computers in the back of the classroom that you are going to use to write the code for your robots are not connected to any sort of cloud storage service. That means that anything you create on a computer will live only on that computer. So if that computer stops working, or maybe you're working with a partner and they're doing the code on their computer, but you're not doing it on a computer that you're logged into, and then your partner is gone the next time you need to work on it, you won't be able to access their code. So at the end of every class period, you're going to actually take that code file from the desktop computer and upload it into this Google Drive code folder. And this is where your code will live. And then if you're working in a group, you can always share it with somebody else. You can share it with somebody else, and then you can work on it together. And anytime you need to start a new project or continue working on it, you just download it from the cloud and open it on the computer and continue working on it. It works great that way. All right. So now that we've got that set up, you might want to take a minute. If you have a whole bunch of junk at the bottom of your Google Drive that you don't want to delete, but you don't want to have it sitting here, there's a very easy thing to do. Let's say you have a bunch of garbage from 5th, 6th, and 7th grade. You can always make a folder for, 5th to 7th grade, and then just put all that stuff in that folder for now. Like for example, you can long click on anything and it'll select it, and you can select any other things that you want. You can either select everything and then deselect the stuff that you don't want. All right. Once you got the stuff selected that you want to move, you click the 3 dots, you click move, and then you navigate my drive and then to the folder that you want to put it in, and then click move. All right. So that's that. I don't need that folder. But it's a good idea to keep your Google Drive organized. Any online storage tool, doesn't have to be Google Drive, is going to use this same sort of folder structure. So it's a good idea to learn how to do things this way. All right, there you go.